Chapter 5 Marriage and Mingling of the Lights. We complete the first 3 parts of the marriage ceremony, and I experience the incredible joy of the union. April 1977, Nibiru. It was a joyful day. My reunion with Miriam's daughters brought me much happiness, and this time, I met Miriam's husband, who was on a mission during my entire 9 months of pregnancy. Sinhar was a very pleasant person, and he welcomed me heartily on my return to Nibiru. Of course, Sinhar came to see me, and we were overjoyed to meet again. She promised that now I could see, study, and enjoy everything that was in her power to give at the academy, and I was thrilled with the potential future studies. Yes, this was a very happy day. And yet, something very strange happened at the end of the day. After a festive dinner, which included many guests, Marduk got up with the rest of the guests and left me at Miriam's place. I could not quite understand it, and to be honest, was extremely distressed about what seemed to me like abandonment. I simply had to understand this, so when the girls retired and Sinhar went to the library to prepare for something he needed the next day, I decided to consult Miriam. Miriam, what is going on? Has Marduk changed his mind about marrying me? Of course not, what would make you imagine such a horror? He has made his choice. It's final for him. Well, he just got up, said good night, and left me in your house. Not that I object to being with you, you know how much I love all of you, but I imagined I would be living in his house, since we are getting married. No, of course you can't live in his house. You are not married yet. I see. So why doesn't he mention it? Shouldn't we make some arrangements, do something? Miriam laughed. You know, my dear, my brother is a lovable creature, but sometimes he forgets that humans don't know everything we do and have no clue to our traditions. Why he assumes you understand it all is beyond me, but that is Sinhar Marduk all over. He has made all the arrangements, Victoria. He had plenty to do even to persuade the council, show them you were of age even though you are only 30. Only 30? Women marry at a much earlier age on Earth. But the council is rather rigid, and they have their code. You must remember that you are a child, on Nibiru, until you are 71 years old. What? He won't marry me for 41 years? Are you all mad? No, no, you are to be married right away, with your permission, and he talked the council into everything he wanted. Sinhar Marduk can be quite persuasive, and all is arranged. Why does he assume that you know everything? I could not say. As for me, I said nothing because I thought he explained. So, what are we waiting for? We are waiting for tomorrow, when he is going to present you with a formal proposal. Heavens, how rigid your traditions, rules and regulations are. I suppose it is because you are such an ancient race. But also, he seemed apprehensive, if an Anunnaki can be said be nervous. What is it? He did not exactly explain to me, but I suspect he is indeed apprehensive. He is probably not sure if you know how we are constructed, physically, and what our marriages are really like. I mean, of course you know about the union, the mingling of lights, but are you aware that Anunnaki do not have sex organs like humans? Of course I am aware of it. I saw a whole lot of little children swimming in the ponds, quite naked, when you took me to our swimming trips. I know exactly how you are constructed physically. Well, does it bother you? Why should it? Miriam, the night before I left, your brother gave me a tiny sample of the mingling of lights. Nothing much, we just held hands and kept apart when he activated our lights, so it involved only the hands. That was all he thought would be appropriate and fair to my free will. So I respected that, but let me tell you, this slight touch was better, a million light years better, than any sexual activity we have on Earth. So it would not hurt you in any way that as the centuries go by, and you become more and more an Anunnaki, you will lose the sex organs? I would not bat an eyelash. You know, Victoria, I believe that your Anunnaki genes influence you considerably already. Quite possibly. Also, You must understand that single women in my world usually experiment with sex from their late teens and on. I had a couple of experiences in my 20s. Well, I must say I am glad Sinhar Marduk is too ethical to have spied on you. He would not have enjoyed these experiments, I suspect. He might have been made rather happy about them, Miriam. They were nothing to me. Something inside me retained the memory of the mingling of lights with Marduk, because I really did not like any of these men or what they tried to give me. Sex, as I told an old Earth friend just before you brought me here again, is highly overrated. After experiencing the mingling of the lights, it is a minor thing indeed, a mere physical sensation at best. I don't have to tell you that the mingling of lights involves mind, body, and soul. Just don't tell that to Marduk. He might feel I needed 30 more years to make sure my free will is intact, and I am not waiting to be 60 before I marry. Since I have never experienced sex in the Earth way, or ever had sex organs, of course I can't tell the difference. The mingling of lights, to me, is highly spiritual. But do you know, Victoria, that your species is the only humanoid one in the known universes that has sex organs, which were given to you to match the animals and the plants on your planet? I personally think it was a mistake. It deprived you of true unity with your mates and created much frustration. No other species share this aberration. Anyway, I am so glad you feel this way, Victoria. I have looked upon you as my sister from the moment you came here the first time, and I would not want to lose you to the Earthlings. You never will. I will grow and become more Anunnaki every day, and I, too, see you as my sister. I am so very happy about it. All of us love you, Victoria. I will always stay with you. And now that you explained Marduk's bizarre behavior, I will not fret, and I will be as formal as any Anunnaki when he comes to take me to the library. But Miriam, there is something else on my mind. What is it? Did you know Marduk's previous wife? No, of course not, she is in another universe which he has left. I see the problem, but Victoria, don't let such human concerns distress you. She is not his previous wife, she is married to another version, not to the Sinhar Marduk you know. This business of multiple universes and duplicate versions is quite confusing. I know. We spend years in school, trying to internalize the concept. I wish I understood it better. There must be some master version, the one from which all the other versions are copied, right? Exactly. You understand it better than you think. But we never meet the master version, only the copies. And Marduk can remember his other versions, but he is separate from them. Right again. And they become remote after a while, each pursuing his or her own destiny and mission. Everyone has a mission, or a life work. Will I be given one, too? All in good time. First, the marriage, then, a fabulous wedding trip, then, plenty of time to settle down with your husband, your new home, your extended family. When you are ready, you will know, and then you shall meet with the council representatives and choose your mission. Choose? So it is not simply assigned? Assigned? Of course not. You are only asked to do what is a deep wish in your heart already. They will just help it develop and blossom. With us, Victoria, free will is everything. There is no exception to this rule, ever. Indeed, I can accept that. Marduk is simply obsessed with it. I still can't get over the fact that he was willing to risk losing me because of it. That is almost frightening. Miriam laughed. Well, don't worry about it. True, tradition and free will are extremely important to him, but I am sure he will relax as soon as you are married and resume his lovable, if sometimes annoying, self. In the morning, Marduk came early. I was in the garden, waiting for him, while everyone else was still in their rooms. The morning was beautiful, butterflies fluttered in the dense flower beds and every tree was full of singing birds. The roses were blooming so intensely that their scent was incredibly strong. I felt that the occasion meant a lot to both of us, even if I had no idea what was to take place, so I dressed in a semi-formal fashion, and wore a long cream-colored dress with a beautiful red belt. Marduk seemed to have had the same thought, since he, too, wore something that seemed more afternoon than morning to me. He was glad to see me up already and asked me to come to the library. Inside, he approached a shelf, but instead of taking one of the usual conical books, he removed an ancient wooden box and brought it to one of the tables. Inside was a scroll that seemed ancient, probably hundreds, if not thousands of years old. "Is this Egyptian papyrus?" I asked. "Yes, it is. A few thousand years ago, we had to copy the original manuscript. It lasted for eons, but finally it was beginning to crumble. We decided we wanted to make an exact replica, since it was so beautiful, rather than reproduce it on a cone, as many families do. It was truly beautiful, written in a language I could not understand and illuminated with small, magical pictures, many of them seemingly some kind of symbols. I longed to touch it and see what the texture was, but I did not dare to do so. This is our marriage record book where all our marriages are kept. Now is the time to make your final decision, Victoria, if you can. Will you marry me?" "Of course I will," I said, surprised. "Did you have any doubts about it?" "I have to ask you formally, no matter what I think. It is part of the ceremony." "Marduk, I know nothing about it. Would you please explain to me what the ceremony is all about?" "It has 4 parts. The first is a verbal consent and a statement of free will. The second is signing the marriage record. The third is the mingling of the lights. The fourth is a conclusive ceremony officiated by 3 representatives of the council." "And a party? With beautiful dresses, and music, and food?" Marduk laughed. "Of course," he said. "Right after the ceremony. Then let's get on with it, Marduk. It's not all solemnity, you know, we should have some fun." Marduk smiled. "Indeed," he said. "We shall now continue, then. Let's start again. Will you marry me?" "Yes, I will marry you, Marduk." "Are you certain, and ready to sign this book?" "I am certain. Can you see, imagine, visualize, or even fantasize any other option than our marriage?" "No, I cannot." "And do you realize that once you sign this book our union is irrevocable?" "I realize that. Is anything other than complete free will is at all employed in your consent? Was any form of persuasion, coercion, promises, or any other such behavior employed on my part?" "There is only free will." Marduk unrolled the scroll and picked up a writing implement from the table. It was shaped like a pen, but from previous experience, I knew it worked with energy, not ink. Nothing could erase it, ever. Under a text paragraph, he signed his name in the Anunnaki language. He then handed me the pen, and I signed my name, in plain English. To my surprise, each of our signatures, though done by the same pen, had a different color. And what's more, under my English signature appeared what seemed to be a translation into Anunnaki, but it kept my signature's color. "Are we married now?" I asked. "Yes, we are. For eternity." He seemed suddenly relaxed. "And then, can I move to your house? Or do I stay at Miriam's house like a nice little virgin until the council blesses me?" "No, you move to my house. It is now your house, we are married." "It's about time," I said, and we both laughed. Everyone congratulated us when we came back to Miriam's living room. They were all there, waiting for us. "And now we must take your things to your home," said Miriam, after a good breakfast, where everyone was relaxed, happy, and full of plans. "Would you believe your husband would not allow me to take your dresses, all the accessories my daughters designed, shoes, and all the jewelry, until after the marriage was accomplished? I knew you will stay, but he just won't allow it, tiresomely refereeing again to free will. But we will try to forget his annoying ways. We will take everything now, or teleport it, rather, into your closets. Come see all the stuff." "He does stick to tradition," I said, following her out of the room. "Ah, well," said Miriam with resignation. "We must accept the fact that all over the known universes, the female of the species is more realistic." Marduk heard us, and laughed. "Very true, he said. "Wait 1 second, Victoria. Once the ceremony and celebrations are all over, where would you like to go for our wedding trip?" "Why, Paris, of course," I said. "Where else would one go for a honeymoon?" "What a charming idea," said Miriam. "I was thinking about a planet on the Alpha Centauri system where so many people go for their wedding trips, but Paris will be very nice." The wardrobe they prepared for me was so incredible, I had to gasp. Closet after closet, full with the most beautiful gowns for all occasions, from casual to formal. Entire shelves full of shoes in all colors, accessories that were everything from hair decorations to belts and scarves, and jewelry that can only be described as breathtaking. "Later, we must decide on the wedding dress," said Miriam. "I have about 6 or 7 for you to choose from." After I could finally manage to tear myself away from the enchanting wardrobe, everything was quickly teleported without the slightest physical effort, and finally Miriam and Marduk took me to my new home to get settled. Marduk's home, which, as I have explained before, was attached with a corridor to his sister's home, was just as beautiful and comfortable as Miriam's. I remembered it from my last visit, since of course I have seen it many times, but it turned out that the brother and sister decided to change everything and make it perfect for a new bride, more elegant, less masculine. The theme they decided upon was an indoor garden. The living room retained the structure of smooth levels and high ceiling, of course, but it was now filled to the brim with indoor roses, both bushes and trailing, and parts of the floor grew the softest, greenest grass where previously they were covered with carpets. Other trailing and hanging flowering plants undulated with the soft breeze that came from the opened windows, making the room look like a miniature magical forest. Tiny ponds, surrounded with ferns and supporting water lilies were on every level, and miniature waterfalls twinkled delicately as they softly fell into the ponds. Tall willow-like trees and bamboo grew behind the furniture. The couches were all covered with green and gold silk, and the red hibiscus flowers here and there completed the enchanting color scheme. This was the most beautiful room I have ever seen. The dining room, the guest rooms, the bedrooms all followed the garden idea. Each guest room was decorated with a different flower theme, one of them all lilies of the valley-like flowers, another one like an orchard of flowering plums and almonds. The bathrooms were small rainforests. Our bedroom was zen-like, with the bed in the middle and a few trees behind it and before it. A couple of small tables had each a vase with one white lily, and all the storage for clothes and things was hidden behind wooden screens. One large pond with papyrus growing right in it was placed in a corner, and was surrounded with gray, moss-covered rocks. It was a place of serenity and peace. As Miriam and Marduk were conducting the tour of the house, I simply could not stop admiring and exclaiming over everything. It felt to me like something of a childhood's dream or fairy tale. "I am so happy you like it," said Miriam. "After you live in it for a while, you may want some changes, some things to make it more comfortable or more suitable for your personal taste. Nothing will be easier. You will tell me, and I'll teach you how to manipulate objects with your mind. For the moment, I don't want to even think of changes," I said enthusiastically. "What a place! And now I must go and let you settle. Come for lunch tomorrow, and we'll choose the dress." She left and Marduk and I were left in our home, finally married and alone in this green paradise. We were now free to bring about our union and mingle our lights. Marduk stood up and said most formally, "Victoria, would you do me the honor of accomplishing our union? This will be the third part of our marriage." Tears came into my eyes. "Do you the honor, Marduk?" "No, you are doing me the honor. You, and your family who accepted me as one of them, and the council who is willing to bless our marriage despite the fact that I am, truly, a member of an inferior species. I am honored. You are not an inferior, Victoria. You are one of us in every way. You have been brought up on Earth, and that changed a few things, but nothing fundamental. Your genetic makeup is ours, and most important, your spirit and your soul is ours. And the Council will prove it to you by honoring you, during the wedding ceremony, by giving you your very own Anunnaki name. The greatest honor is your wanting to marry me, Marduk, waiting for me, and allowing me the centuries of learning and growing to be like you. And to answer your question, in the formal style that is needed, yes, I will now happily come with you and accomplish our union. There are certain things that cannot be described, things that human language has no words for, and I am afraid that the mingling of the lights is one of them. I can describe the physical procedure, and unlike human sexual behavior, there is nothing in the union that is embarrassing or disturbing to even the most traditional and old-fashioned people, but the experience itself is impossible to relate. We went into our bedroom, which traditionally had no windows. That is because it is not seemly to have the lights, which can be intense, be seen by people who may be walking in the gardens. We sat on the bed, and I said to Marduk, I have no idea how the lights are to be activated. You don't have to do anything, since the lights are not activated. They emanate from our beings, and just sitting here together will do it. Do you remember how the light grew around our hands, just before you left? Of course I do, I said. I did not want to add that the experience lived in my mind, if unconsciously so, enough to make me come back to him. So I kept it to myself and smiled inwardly with complete happiness. Just sit near me, Victoria, close your eyes, and imagine the same light emanating from your entire body. I did as he said, and imagined golden lights surrounding me like a soft, flowing veil. For a few minutes nothing happened, and then I felt a change and opened my eyes to see each of us surrounded by a bubble of the most brilliant light. The bubbles came together, touched each other exactly like floating soap bubbles do, and merged together into one glowing orb. The light grew stronger and stronger until the whole room was illuminated by undulating, flowing strands of light, a little like the strands that can be seen in the sky during the aurora borealis. And the sensations I felt were the incarnation of beauty, at once mental, physical, and spiritual, since it cannot be anything but a combination of the three, and it mounted and increased until the light exploded into a shower of stars and the union was achieved. And that is all I can really say, because as I said, human language is too limited. In Anunnaki, there are many words to describe the union in all its aspects. I do want you to understand, though, I am doing my best. So if you can recall the most wonderful sexual experience you ever had, with someone for whom you had pure love and respect, perhaps you may have an inkling, but only that. I suspect that until humans evolve mentally, spiritually, and physically, until such time as they can shed all the negative traits of infidelity, jealousy, and fickleness, all they can have is a pale imitation of the union. I hope that someday it will happen, because the union, unlike human sexual relations, can only ennoble and enrich you, can never be negative, can never cause pain or embarrassment. It is the essence of purity and happiness. After all was over, and we were resting on our bed, I told Marduk that I remember smelling the scent of a certain flower I knew from my childhood, which grew only in the hothouses. Marduk was sure it was part of the experience, and tried to understand which flower it was, but I forgot the name, and could not describe it to him adequately. So Marduk smiled and said, well, make a shower of these flowers fall on us. Make a shower of flowers. Me? How do I do that? Don't you forget I am a mere human? Having gone through the union already started you on developing special powers. Just close your eyes, and imagine the flowers, as you remember them, falling on us like a steady rain from the ceiling. Make heaps and heaps of them. I laughed at the idea, but to indulge him, I closed my eyes and imagined the flowers doing that. Suddenly I felt something landing on me softly, like a snowflake. I opened my eyes, and to my total amazement I saw a few flowers falling from the ceiling. White and yellow and smelling like an earthly paradise, the rain of flowers got thicker and thicker and they covered us with their scented petals. I was speechless with amazement at my new gifts and the impossibility of what I was creating, but Marduk just picked up one flower and said in a total matter-of-fact way, as if no miracle had been taking place. "Oh, I see, plumeria. Of course. I should have recognized them from your description, they grow here all over the place." I laughed. "What next?" I said. "Will I fly to one of the moons on my own silver wings?" Marduk looked at me seriously and said, "Sure, if you like. There are no limits, really. Wings are easy enough to make, any color you want." What a place, I thought, what a life. And I sank into a blissful sleep under the soft and warm blanket of the delicate white and yellow flowers.
Two hearts that beat as one.